Welcome everybody to a blockbusting version of a chat that we were going to do a couple of days ago. Don't have a certificate. I said because you don't have to show anything if you're exempt. I paid for my ticket and everything. I sat right at the back, and we get up to Ashley Road in Poole. There's like this roadworks there, right, with the the traffic lights there for the roadworks on the street going up there. And the bus stops, and this police car pulls up, and the bus driver starts talking to the two cops, and then the cops drive on. We then pull up to the next bus stop. She switches her engine off, and the police are walking past my window. They get on the bus, and they come straight to the back. And the long and short of it all is, they escorted me off the bus for not wearing a face mask, and they couldn't even get the stories right. First, they said it was company policy of more buses, which it isn't, because later on that day, I used another 2 buses from Moore, and the bus drivers didn't even mention face masks. So it obviously isn't company policy. And then the other copper says to me, the male of the 2 coppers said to me, well, the bus driver felt intimidated by you, which is why she didn't ask you to leave the bus earlier. And I said, oh, right. So she drove me all the way halfway sort of up the road, and now you're dumping me off of the side of the street. They don't get it. They don't get it. And that was that.
I think as well, just disagreeing with them is arguing with them. It's not, this is true. You're going to argue your case, aren't you?
I'm hearing a lot of echo.
Oh, they got the echo. Yeah, I can hear squeak.
I can hear squeak.
Huh?
It sounds like somebody's actually listening to us. I can hear you.
Anyway, where were we?
Exemptions still exist. There's no reason they can't. It's discrimination if they don't serve you.
But they're not abiding by the law that we have. They're not abiding by our human rights, are they? They're walking all over them. These big corporations are taking away people's the right that they've got, and these big corporations are taking them away.
Yes, but what they need to be told is that store policy does not override the law about discrimination or the legislation about exemptions.
Well, this is the whole reason I think they ramp it up tenfold, because that's literally all they do have is the media. It's very similar to when they accused us of staging events. Obviously, we ask them, "What's your evidence?" They don't come back with anything, but they just come back with the Buon Effecto just write another article on us. So, and this is literally the same across the country on bigger and smaller scales, isn't it? They literally do not have anything to go by lawfully. So the next best thing is to put your media arm out and make it appear that as though it's law.
Shops now, or stores now, think that they can just make their own policy. And I had my own experience of that when I got refused service the other day and told by a member of staff that I'm not exempt from catching COVID. But I'm going to take that further anyway, because they just can't do that to people. If I went in there with a disability that was visible, if you could tell that I was disabled, they wouldn't refuse to serve me.
Yeah, it's easy targets, isn't it? But it's kind of the result, isn't it, of the propaganda? People just.
But we shouldn't have to endure this. As people of this country, we should not have to endure this. This country is not free anymore. Why should we have to endure going through the sheer humiliation of having to provide details or explaining why we're not wearing a face covering?
Exactly. I shouldn't have to think about my bad experience in the past when I just want to go and get bin bags from In Excess. I shouldn't have to think about that.
What these companies have got to realise, and what everyone has got to realise, is the majority of the people within this group have got a totally different understanding of what is going on in this world. What we're being forced to do. You're asking us to live a lie. Something that we don't believe the way you believe. But you're coercing and forcing us to live that lie and put a mask on our face when we, do not believe what's going on to the extent that you do. We're not living in fear. Please do not infect me with your irrational fear. You are trying to put your irrational fear onto people that have got a different belief. And it's wrong, isn't it? It's absolutely wrong what is going on.
And it's the thing, and by marching through town and stuff, they're accused us of forcing our views onto them. But the thing is, we're bombarded with these views every single day with the television, with the stickers on the floor, with the bullshit we have to put up with going through into the shops. This is why we feel we had to go out onto the streets and make a noise, because we get censored if we do. Well, as we know this week, we get censored, we get banned, and it just the voice just gets smothered out by bullshit. Yeah.
Exactly. We have a right to voice our, to use our voice, and if we don't agree with something, we have a right to say that we don't agree with it. We shouldn't need to just believe the same thing as everyone else. And it is constant. It's on the radio, it's on the TV. You walk outside and everyone's got masks on. If you went outside and no one was wearing a mask, you wouldn't even think there was anything going on, because there's still the same amount of people and the same amount of cars.
In a genuine pandemic, in a global pandemic, you would not even have to report the hospitals are busy. People just know they're busy. They wouldn't need to go walk past, and you wouldn't need to report it. But obviously, if people are going into hospitals and exposing that there's hardly anyone in there, or the whole hospital is empty apart from the COVID wards, the thing they have to come back with the ramp up in propaganda to counteract that. So they have to report the hospitals are really busy.
And we're somehow being told to believe that a person sat on a bench drinking a coffee is the cause of this epidemic, this pandemic that they're telling us. That's the cause of it. All the measures that are going on, and they're trying to blame innocent people for spreading some virus. It's insane.
It's ridiculous. I've got an example up the road. There's I'll name a company called Rivita. They make cracker beds, like breakfast cereals and cakes and stuff. And you think all these people that are travelling, that have got to go to Rivita, they've got to get on buses, they've got to get in their cars. It's going to cause traffic. And this is not obviously just Rivita. You've got like Coca-Cola making fizzy drink. So all these people are allowed to, all these companies are allowed to work, and all the workers have got to get on the bus, got to travel in and stuff. Yet they're telling cancer patients, on the other hand, they can't come into the hospital because it's too busy and stuff like that. And it's like, and obviously again blaming us that we're the cause and stuff. When it's like, it's absolute madness.
At no time was on my arrest in Bournemouth was I ever in a group, and I told this to the police, and I said, "There's video evidence. Show me any evidence to show anyone was actually in a group." There wasn't. The police admitted it themselves.
That's what I was trying to say to someone the other day. Sorry. I was trying to say to someone the other day that it was the coppers coming up to us and not us going to them, and the only group there was the coppers. We tried to avoid any contact with them.
Exactly. The only time the numbers doubled around me and you could call it a group was when 6 policemen surrounded me.
Well, they even made it sound like it was almost illegal to film, for example, which of course is nonsense as well. You're allowed to film in a public place, and the reason why I know that for a fact is because when I said in Bournemouth Gardens to the copper, "Oh, by the way, just so you know, I'm filming you too," he put his thumb up like that. And you can see it in my video footage. Nobody once asked me to put my camera down. Yet they were mentioning that as a reason for questioning me, because they were saying, "Well, we've seen you hanging around the gardens, like that's illegal. And also, and you're filming." And I said, "Well, yeah, I'm filming because I'm seeing a lot of people in high vises and I'm a concerned citizen," which I am, because this whole situation is bloody concerning. Not concerning for the same reasons that the mainstream masses are concerned for. Concerning because they're all concerned for the other reasons. That's what's concerning me. And I used the word concerning 5 times in one sentence. My English teacher would have been proud.
Well, I mean, this is it. We all share the same. We're all concerned people. Our collective, ethos is that we are all concerned for what is going on. I'm concerned for my children's future.
Yeah. I'm sorry to say it, but the stupidity and the blind ignorance of people is just that's really worrying me. And we mentioned this last time, Gavin. You were saying it as well about, talking about the bigger picture here. It's not about a vaccine. There's something else going down here, and people are not seeing anything. They're not seeing further than the end of their own noses. They really are not. Gavin, what's happened is people have let it happen. And also, they've allowed themselves to get caught up with the consumerism of buying new gadgets. The more comfortable life has got. I was thinking about this a few days ago. when did phones start kicking in? I remember the first mobiles, they were like little Nokia ones, right? Well, they were big ones, actually. They looked like board rubbers. And then it went down in size. And then suddenly these smartphone things came out. It all happened in a flash. And if you think about it, it's, you know, the dumbing down of society has happened, but it's always been explained in a way that it's more convenient for us because we're all so busy.
I do agree with that. Even though the information is easily accessible, it's on the government websites, and you can tell people this information, and they still deny that is true. So I totally agree with you there.
Oh no, that was it, right? So yeah, the last lockdown. So with my dad basically stayed in for pretty much the whole time. Didn't even go out at all. So I bumped into my dad last week in the road, and I didn't actually say it to him, but I wish I did. I was going to say to him, so Dad, obviously the spikes in the death rate is supposedly we're in a worse state now than we were in April. Yet you stayed in the whole of March, April, or May because you were scared blind because you were told to. What's the difference between now and then? And I know what the answer would have been because the government have told us to, and that is essentially the answer because the government told them to. I said to Dad, I think back in January or February, I said, Dad, there's going to be a second wave. And this was before they even started gaslighting people in the mainstream media. So when there's a second wave in October, November, are you going to start listening to us then?
The dodgy line stuff and all that, that's something that's increased recently as well. I was mentioning it earlier when we had our sort of take one, that, you know, my phone has never been in a worse state and it's brand new.
Yeah,
I can't access videos. I can't send photos to people. When I'm on voice calls like now, what we're doing now, it's stressy and strenuous to actually hear properly. It's not that the quality is just gone. It wasn't like this 2 or 3 months ago. None of it was. You know,
I was saying that, and it was going dodgy.
There you go.
Yeah.
You know, so you know this wasn't this bad a few months ago at all. You know, you can't even communicate properly with people anymore. They're already playing around with that. No doubt about that for me. It cannot be that all these new gadgets suddenly aren't working very well. And suddenly, you know, things like StreamYard or whatever it is people want to use for their podcasts or whatever, unless you buy expensive equipment, it used to be all possible, no problem. No problem at all.
Yeah, no, I always think the thing with sending files and stuff like that, like big files, you cannot literally send any video more than about 8 or 9 minutes long on any platform at all. And you just think, it's just why do they do that? Why? It makes it hard to share information, doesn't it?
Yeah. It's the wagon scenario, isn't it? When I was a kid, they were massive. Now they're about the size of a 5-pence piece.
Yeah.
I've gone to send people videos that I've had on my phone for a little while, and it's disappeared. And I haven't. It's there. You can see. You know, like it's got the box, and it's got, I don't know, like a broken video as a picture. And yeah, it's just not there. There's definitely a lot of censorship going on at the moment, isn't there?
No doubt about it. And it's a bit like this virus stuff that we're talking about here. And what we said last time, it's not the elephant in the room that we want to look out for. It's the little ants on the ground.
Yeah.
Well, it's all part of the bigger picture, isn't it? I mean, all this technology and us forcing us all into online. To me, nothing online is safe. Once it's online, or you sent it over the internet, encryption or no encryption, whatever, WhatsApp, you know, I don't believe any of it. I think it's all readable, and they've got access to every bit of information that goes on that way. This is all part of that bigger picture we're talking about. Yeah. Where we're heading. This is what people
totally agree. I totally agree. They're funneling us along that route of having to go online. And they're doing it with kids at school, where all the homeschooling now, everything is monitorable, literally everything.
Yeah, and that's always sat with me. I didn't exist on social media up until January, when I could see what was going on with this virus starting in Wuhan or wherever. To me, being on the internet or social media just was not natural. But the way this situation is going drove me to have to entertain, you know, get on social media, because something was seriously wrong. I'm concerned. I need to start spreading a voice. The only reason I joined social media was to try and, you know, get something out. I couldn't sit by any longer. I'm a father watching out for my children, and what is going on in this world is shocking. And it's all taken us to a new destination. What they're trying to do is reset the way we live our lives completely. And the virus is the means and the distraction that's taken us there. And this is what people need to realise. The virus is merely a distraction. Believe whatever you believe about the virus, that, you know, that's up to you. If you believe it's that deadly, but I don't. I believe the virus is there purely as a distraction and a means, a bus, if you like, a journey that's taken us to a new way of living, and our children, and going on into the future. And this is what we need to focus more on, is the fact of the destination. Are we happy for our children to be subjected to vaccinations? They're telling us that to survive on this planet now, we have to be medically vaccinated. For the human species to survive on this planet and keep safe and not die, we need to have a medical injection injected into our bodies, forcing it, and that will keep us safe. That's what they're telling us. And if people cannot see that that is what is going on, and the freedoms, people still think we're going to go back to normal. To me, we're never going back to normal like we remembered back in March. That freedom is gone. Do you not think? I mean, that freedom we had growing up as children, you know, going out and going to pub, that's all going to be gone. The children now are that brainwashed that they think people walking around with a piece of paper on their face is normal. They believe that this is normal, and going on into the future, they'll still believe it's normal. So when the government start bringing in another virus that's infecting the world, it'll be the same again. Lockdown, lockdown, lockdown. These tears aren't going away. These tears will be here. The government do not want to give up the power and control that they have acquired. And it's all part of a plan. They know it's part of the plan.
Yeah.
There's people there knowing exactly what is happening.
Yeah. It's
by a minute percentage of the population have decided that the rest of the population are going to live a different way of life. They believe, and they'll also use climate change as a guise to get more freedoms. It's basically taking away the freedoms that we once had. The freedom for us to assemble as law-abiding citizens and voice concern has been taken away. They are denying us that right by arresting and targeting people that are doing it. They're now censoring the freedoms on the internet where we can't speak out. So they're taking away our freedom of speech. So what people need to realise is the freedoms that we once shared are being taken away, quite calculatedly, but they're being taken away. And it's all to take us to a new way of living. Who wants to go on holiday and you're going to be forced to have a vaccination to go away on holiday? Is that a freedom of choice? You are coercing people into having a vaccine and you're forcing them to have it. And by not having it, you're wanting to diminish any part of people's normal living lives. You're going to restrict their movement if they don't have the vaccine. They're now offering £500, aren't they, to people for the test?
Well,
yeah, I did see something about that.
Yeah. It's gone dystopian. It's going to that dystopian place that people talk about in sci-fi movies years ago. All that predictive programming that we talk about, right? It's all coming into reality now. The new normal for kids. I said this last time. When my daughter becomes a grandma at some stage, and I'm dead and gone, they ain't gonna her grandkids. They're not gonna know anything about this flip that's happening now, and all that sort of stuff. It will just be normal for them. This situation that we're experiencing, this movement into this dystopian era that we're going into, which, by the way, is going on no matter what we think, right? All we can do really is safeguard ourselves. It's about self-preservation and getting a bit spiritual around all of this, because we're going to need as much spiritual fabric as possible to get through this. Because unfortunately, the swaths of people are going off the edge of that cliff, and it's happening at a rapid pace, and it's happening in every country. This is the thing.
That's the worry, Sven. It's happening not just in this country, worldwide. This is going on
everywhere.
Yeah.
And I put something up on social media today from the World Bank, for example. They're actually mentioning a 5-year plan. It's a project.
Oh, I totally agree. And if you want a glimpse of the future, most people have probably seen it. Just look at V for Vendetta, and that is literally what the future is going to be. You're going to have curfews. You're going to get to a point where literally people they will see people on the street, and you will. I mean, it's getting like it already, and they'll grass you up if people don't start standing up and questioning, really.
Yeah, you've got Sky News the other day. Their headline was "Don't hug your kids even with vaccine." Who's going to listen to that? Even people that do follow all of this surely aren't going to listen to that.
Well, you think the more it gets preposterous and the more that they demand of people and expect of people, the more people would suddenly realise and think, you know, what's going on? But they seem to still blindly follow. It's like a faith that they're following. It's like a cult that has brainwashed them into believing that what they're being told off of the television is fact.
Yeah.
How are people falling for these lies?
Yeah. And it's something that we touched on, wasn't it? About if you had someone in your family, for example, lying that often to you, you would have banished them out of your life years ago. Yet people still go back to the same mouthpieces that we would call politicians. That's all they are, they're mouthpieces. They don't have any power. They have the scripts written for them. But people still fall into that trap of going back to them as a form of savior, as a form of solace, as a form of, security and guidance and all that sort of stuff. It totally baffles the hell out of me why people would think that's ever a good idea to pay attention to anything that those buffoons say. It's absolute bloody nonsense.
It's because literally most people are brainwashed. If all you do is follow the news, read the media, that is brainwashing.
Well, it's called program, isn't it? The TV program.
Yeah, programming. That's the word.
That's right. Well, it's a psychological form of programming. It's like these. I believe these V for Vendetta films and all these sci-fi dystopian films that have been shown over the years is almost like a subliminal psychological just setting the seed into people's mind of almost like a normal
when they put it in films, don't they? And when it actually plays out in real life, it doesn't seem that extravagant, and you've already kind of subliminally accepted it, well, not accepted it, but you've seen it in the back of your mind, so you kind of accept it more.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
It works. It's a fact. That's how you do it. Isn't it?
And that is what we're facing nowadays: is psychological warfare. We are at war. But it's not a war that anyone has ever, with bullets and bombs. This is a psychological war on our minds. And all this, people talk about the 5G. I've not looked into it enough to be able to make an assumption. I don't think it's good for us, but it came off of the battlefield. The 5G was a tool used on the battlefield to suppress insurgents or whatever. I mean, with technology, however they do it, but. The 5G rollout is also part of this new world we're going to, isn't it? Where the technology is linked to everything is linked. Every moment, everything that we do is recorded. Everywhere we go, every camera, everywhere you go, you're filmed, you're scanned. People don't realise the way that this is taking us, the future that they want. Now, is it progress? I don't think it's progress for the human race to be taken like this. And even if it was, do the humans not get a say? Do the 99% don't they get a say in how the world should be, going forward? We've just got a small, powerful, elite, massively wealthy corporate structure that is now dictating to the rest of the world how we should be living our life. And it's their way. It's not our way. Our way is being eroded.
But why though? What's their aim?
Sorry?
Like, why are they leading us to a new life? What's the end game?
It's about controlling the population. It's about controlling the movement of the people, restricting their movement. The elites want to have a world where there's a lot less people on it, I believe.
I would suggest that the elites that we're talking about are the ones you never get to see, right? So, and we've had a conversation about this as well, Mike. You and I sort of were on the same page on this one, that anybody on politics level, that's low level. That's not high level decision making at all. They're here today, gone tomorrow. Boris Johnson, for example, in 5 years' time, no one will be talking about him because you'll have a different prime minister, you'll have a different home secretary. They get swapped in and out all the time. It doesn't matter what political party is put in place or any of that. And by the way, this goes for every country. Countries are just departments for higher powers who look at the world, if you like, to use an analogy, as a chessboard, right? And so they shift they move the little pieces around. And we're talking high level stuff here. We're talking well above banks. We're talking about people where money is not even an issue. I don't mean because they've got lots of it. I mean, they don't need money at all. So anybody who needs money for power, for example, they're handled, because money is a concept that was devised and developed to enslave the human race, basically. It's a control mechanism, the monetary system, right? That's why people are lying right now. Oh, I can't tell the truth about what's going on in the hospital because I might lose my job. That's exactly the whole idea behind monetary systems, is to keep people shackled and to keep people towing the line and keeping in their lanes, right? Once people get a hold of that and a sense of that, then they'll understand the bigger picture and go, okay, well, maybe I need to shift my way of thinking about how to continue living. Is there a way you can live, for example, without the necessity of money at all, right? That would be one way of breaking out of this way of living that has forced us down this road in the bloody first place, right? It's already happening. Cashless society is going to happen very soon. Then you're all going to be connected digitally, monetarily, and that's it then. You can't fall back on your £20 note. It's all computers. It's all digital. And if it goes beep, no entry, then you can't get your insulin for your kid that you might need on a Thursday night, right? It's all that stuff. It's total control. And eventually you won't have a bank card. It will be in your head. It will be in your arm, or it will be injected into you in a form of nanotechnology, which I believe they're already doing. And you'll be connected up that way. That's how it's going to roll. But that's the bigger picture. No, it's not Bill Gates. Bill Gates, they're just handled.
And you're starting to see that now as well. And say with the 5G tech, that's exactly what they want it for. It's for surveillance, to connect all the Internet of Things together. You're already seeing like your smart fridges and stuff like that. I remember seeing a meme a couple of years ago saying you have been denied access to your fridge for making a derogatory comment over dinner last night. And that's where it's going, isn't it? They could just say, "Oh, you were overheard saying something racist last night, so you were going to knock 10 credits off you or whatever." And it's exactly where it's going. Like I said, it's a Chinese social credit system. It's not really a secret, really, is it?
No, people just don't see it coming, though, do they? It's being given to us in dribs and drabs, so that people that don't see it, and then by the time that they've got what they want, it's going to be too late for a lot of people to stand up and use their voice.
Yeah, but the illusion is that they give people the impression that we have choices in the matter, right? That's the illusion. So, for example, you think you've got a choice with the politician you're voting. You even think that voting is a choice. In fact, you even think that voting is actually a process that works. Well, guess what?
No,
it doesn't. It doesn't exist.
You reminded me of something when you were saying that, Gavin. I think I kind of said it on I think last time we were chatting when it didn't record properly. But one of my friends, her friend who went into labour went into hospital, and they basically, as soon as she went in there, she has to do basically a COVID test, and she challenged it. Basically, they had to rule out she didn't have COVID before she could go out onto the maternity ward. Another story from a nurse who I won't name, where basically she was working and her family was absolutely fuming. Where it's a similar case to what you said, Gavin, where they'd been ill all their life. I think it was cancer. Basically, the last couple of weeks, she was given as a positive got a positive test for COVID. Sadly died. And basically, when they did the death certificate, it was put down as COVID, which is really significant because if you are put down as COVID as the cause of dying, you are ineligible for your mortgage payments, as it's classed as an act of God. And that's a fact that not many people know. And I wonder how many people they have done that to across the country.
And how many people are realising that this is going on? To put a sick woman who didn't test positive for COVID onto a COVID ward, a day later she dies. That is absolutely sick. And then from that moment on, the family denied the right to even visit or see the body in the cemetery of rest. It's absolutely appalling.
Well, this is the thing as well with the same thing with the lady, my friend's friend who went into labour. Why would you put someone who's going into labour into a ward that's supposedly the deadliest fucking virus for the last fucking 100 years? It's absolute fucking madness. And why don't people just look at these things and realise if you really have a genuine pandemic going on, would you really be doing these things? It's so fucking easy to decipher. And so I'm getting a bit frustrated now because it fucking winds me up to be honest.
One of my friends also, she just had a baby and she was put onto a COVID ward when she went into labour, and she had to stay there until her test results come back. Now, does that class as an admission? Is that why the admission, cases are so high? Do they class that as a case? It was negative anyway, and she got moved to another part of the hospital. So she was on the COVID ward while she was in labour.
It's the same. They haven't got anyone who's willing to come and test, so they have to force it on the businesses. They have to force it on people coming to the hospital. Force it on people that they know they can probably easily find. It's nobody goes in willingly. You'll pay them £500 if they get a positive test.
Yeah, I can't believe how vile and vindictive and nasty people can get for somebody expressing a different opinion.
It's been quite a testing week, but at the end of the day, they wouldn't need to put announce this on the Downing Street speech if we weren't some sort of threat. And I say the same with the demos. They wouldn't need to ban our particular anti-lockdown as in across the whole country and let Extinction Rebellion and Black Lives Matter march all through the summer. They wouldn't. We're obviously a threat, and I think some people can see that, but they still don't seem to see the bigger picture. Well, they'll just look at, oh, you're putting people's lives at risk and stuff like that. But they don't look at the fact that, for example, we've been marching every single week, I believe, since July, pretty much. Have hugged everyone every single week. Walked with the policemen. I've shaked hands with the policemen every single week, pretty much. And only now do they suddenly catch COVID when we've got a bit of interest and obviously gone viral. These are the little things I think that winds me up that people don't think of, and it's suddenly even people like, for example, I'm thinking in my head people like my dad at the moment who will probably read the Echo, think fucking hell, what's Mike got himself into now, and won't even come to me to ask the reals, and it's baffling. Got some gremlins on the line, I reckon. Not like
hey. There we go. You look like a Mexican wrestler.
Fucking gimp.
Oh, wow. Look, the Echo's gone.
The Echo's gone.
Keep that mask on, Gavin. That's what it was. I said, what was his name? Martin Hewitt was his name, right? And Martin Hewitt is the chair of the National Police Chiefs Council. He's like the boss of bosses. He's one of their head masons, right? And he was talking about how, the demo in Bournemouth infected 2 of his angels, right? Well, then in the same sentence says, but then again, we can't say that the infection was directly limited to that event or linked to that event. So what's he saying it for? What are you talking about? It's like going into McDonald's, isn't it, and saying, you know what? I would love to have a Big Mac and a strawberry shake, and I'll probably get some large fries as well, right? And the person behind the counter's go, yeah, typing it all in. That'll be £5.49, please, or whatever it is nowadays. And then I'll say, then again, I think I'll just have some McNuggets. Well, what are you on about, mate? I've stood here for 5 minutes listening to your nonsense, and now you come around the corner with McNuggets. You on about?
It's exactly the same views. It's just like and the reason why he's put that little sentence on the end, because I think they obviously monitor what we're posting in that, and it's obviously a good point of what we're saying is how the hell can it really be tied down when the police deal with hundreds of people every single week. That we were like probably 20 people of about 500 people in Bournemouth that fucking day. It's people. So, but like at the same time, if people know that that's the case, so why fucking even mention it? And then you have to think, well, there must be an agenda behind it. And
That's what you do, mate. You follow the evidence. if I was a detective, I'd be looking at all those narratives that happened from 2 weeks ago when Peter got questioned and the 3 people who got arrested got de-arrested and didn't even get a fine, right? But yet they make a big song and dance for arresting them in front of passers-by and then blame us for event staging it all when actually they event staged it, right? And that's clear to see that they event staged it or stage evented it or stage managed it or whatever they did, pantomimed it, I'd like to call it, right? And it's like, well, that was the beginning of it when Vaughan, the inspector, starts talking about how we endangered his officers and the public, of course. And then a few days later, the Echo comes out with that anybody not wearing a mask is a potential murderer, pretty much. And now you've got a guy in Masonic headquarters stood there talking about how we've infected people, but then again, it might not have been us. What are you on about? What are you on about? In the meantime, people are now starting to stare out each other, and people are now actually getting issues on the streets or in buses, or like Gavin today, for example. Now it's picked up again. Have you noticed the hostilities are there now?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, they're thrown in the, oh, we're going to fine you and all that stuff as well. It's quite funny because that speech as well, he was basically going on about just trying to stop people from going to house parties, saying you're going to get like an £800 fine if you attend these house parties and all that. And it's funny, they mentioned all the fines, saying you'd get fined for this. We didn't mention anything about, obviously, I'd protest people getting fined for that or anything like that, because I honestly think these fines is pure fear and propaganda. I literally don't. I think anyone, if they know that a certain person is knowledgeable and will challenge it, I don't think any even bother with them. Like, have you received your fine yet, Gavin, from the coach trip?
From the coach trip? No, I never will, for reasons I won't go into. But
yeah.
But I was looking at my arrest sheet from the Bournemouth one, and obviously, I was the one that failed to give my name in custody, and I wouldn't release it because I believe that I had not committed a crime, and they know that because at no time was I in a group of more than 2 to 4 people, so they were making that accusation up. So originally, I was arrested for causing antisocial behaviour for being outside with a sign. I've just looked on my notification on my form that they gave me when I was released. After finding out my details, because they found a credit card in my pocket with my name on it. I said, well, that could be anybody's credit card. They said, well, if it's not yours, we're arresting you. We're arresting you for being in possession of a stolen credit card. I said, well, that's hearsay. How do you know? It could be somebody that's lent it to me. That's absolute rubbish. Anyway, they put me in the cells, still refused to give my name. And then the way they got it was they used the name that was on the card, and they contacted and went and sent members of the police, Dorset Police, to my family's addresses to find out if I lived there. Worrying and concerning my parent, my mother. So the police are turning up at people's houses of my family looking to ask if I lived there. Eventually, they got my name, and I gave them an address, but I've just looked on my charge sheet, and no further action to be taken. The offence was failed to give name and address to a constable and engaging in antisocial behaviour. And then on the form, it's got ticked by Dorset Police. There is insufficient evidence to prosecute in relation to the offences at this time.
Right.
Crime is going to happen. When do we arrest people on the assumption that something might happen? We go on what we do know, not what we don't know.
Exactly. That's what I was saying as well. What are you stopping me for in bloody Bournemouth Gardens just because you've had intel that there might be a demo at some stage? Well, I'm not doing anything wrong right now. No. When is that happening? Oh, we think you might wear pink someday in the future, and in the future, pink might be illegal. So we're going to arrest you now just in case. What the hell is that all about?
When was the law ever applied on something that might happen? I mean,
by the way, I'm coming to you live from the International Space Station.
Yeah.
But I think what people have got to realise as well is I've got the utmost respect for people and sympathy for any loss of life. And I think the whole of the group have. We're not there to disrespect anybody.
Of course.
Death is part of life, isn't it? There's a 100% chance that we're all going to one day die. Absolutely, guaranteed. Any death is a tragic event, isn't it, for anybody? Nobody's disrespecting that. What we are doing is standing up for something else. We're not disrespecting you because you've had a loved one die or anything like that. People attack you because they feel you're being disrespectful. It's not about being disrespectful. We've all got compassion. The whole of the group that I've met have all got, they're all nice, caring people. They're not out to cause harm. Nobody at them demonstrations is looking to be violent, are they? They're not looking to upset and be, and cause trouble.
I said this once, right? We represent a cross section of society. We're all ages, all genders, all backgrounds, right? We're all nationalities. We have people from different countries there, be it on the coach, be it on the demos we've had and all that sort of stuff. We're not some hooligans or hoodlums or violent idiots who've got nothing better to do with their time. We care. That's why we do what we do, because we actually do care and not don't care. And that's the difference.
Exactly. Who cannot care? Who cannot stop? When you've looked behind the curtain and you've seen the way this is going in the future that we're being taken to, how can you not stand up when you can see what is going on? How can anybody not stand up and say, look, I'm not happy about this. I am worried for my children. Their future is at stake. And I believe there is. And all our futures are at stake.
Yeah. A lot of us are just concerned parents.
No, I tell you, you sound much better, Sam, as well now.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's much better. Yeah, you were like talking.
Automatically adjust my mic volume.
We need one of them family stats.
Yes. A lot of us are concerned parents, and we're really worried about how this is going for our kids, because life, we had freedoms, and we think that our kids are not going to have freedoms when they're older.
Well, it's an issue because I'll give you a little example. My daughter lives in Germany, right? She's 11 in Feb, and her mum is buying into it all. She thinks she should have tests. She thinks she should have the vaccine, all that sort of stuff. In fact, when I was on the phone to my daughter a few weeks ago, her mum, my ex-wife, asked me on the phone with a straight face, "Oh, you're one of those conspiracy theorists, aren't you?" What can you do? What is that all about? When my daughter says, which is what I said to her as a response, I said, well, if your daughter, my daughter, is complaining about headaches because she's forced to wear a mask all day at school at the age of 10, and you're calling me a conspiracy theory, then I would have a little look at the mirror, seriously, and think about where your priorities lie. Does it lie with appeasing your teacher and doing what you're told, or does it lie with the health of your daughter?
But like I said the other day, when we tried to do this, I was speaking to a mum who's she's a mum of 2 teenage boys. Now, she doesn't agree with the masks, and neither does her sons really. But the word she said was it's social suicide. If they didn't wear masks to school, they'd be the odd ones out.
But it's wrong though, isn't it, to inflict that on children? They're targeting our children to enforce them to wear a mask and accept it as being normal.
Yeah.
In school.
Teenagers have enough to worry about, let alone, teenagers worry about what they look like as it is without wearing masks or not wearing masks, and then potentially being the odd one out.
Yeah, exactly. They worry about reputation, street cred, all that stuff. And if they start getting words told to them that your mum's loopy or your dad's a bit of a freak and all that sort of stuff, life becomes very uncomfortable for the kids at school. I mean, I used to get vilified at school as a teenager for being half German. I was called a Nazi this, a Nazi that. It was bloody awful. And that was bullying on that in those days. You can imagine nowadays, if your kids, you go in as a parent and say, my daughter's not getting tested, never mind vaxxed, because they're not getting anything up I'm not putting anything up my daughter's nose. As that quote goes in a very good film, never trust a man who puts anything but a finger up his nose, right?
I like that.
It is a really good point you make, Sam, because like you say, I mean, the parents can be like as passionate and as they like and stand their ground. So if, like you say, when you're sending your child to school and you're kind of like putting them in that position, you're putting them in that position as well, aren't you? And it's like, is that it's a question, and you think, well, It's very similar to how everything else in the world, like when we're going into the shop and people are just literally just wearing it for the sake of it, and it's such a hard one, and I feel a little bit helpless sometimes in the mask situation. I almost feel like we've kind of lost that battle, if I'm honest. But it's
a tough one, Mike. It's a tough one because people out there, the majority, truly believe there is something floating around us that's mutating and killing everyone. And they really do believe that the police are doing the right job. And if the press go a bit too far with their narrative, so be it. If that's what it takes to clamp down on these terrible hooligans, the people who don't know what they're on about, like us, who are endangering everybody else in society. And if they've got that mindset, they're going to be hard to battle up against. We've got to be really strong about it. Really strong.
They're under an illusion that we're going to go back to normal, go back to how it was.
Never
Especially
happening.
people that are getting the vaccines thinking that, they can hug their grandkids again. But, we've been told by the government, we've been told by the vaccine manufacturers that even once you get the vaccine, you still have to follow the rules, the masks, the social distancing. So what is going to be enough to end the lockdown and the regulations?